Welcome to Smart Stats. This is where I share my observations on a recent study or some data. Today's Smart Stat is on remote capable workers, their status and the preference. What it means is Gallup surveyed workers who had the ability to perform their job remotely. They didn't require to be on production or on a plant floor. Those workers are not included in the survey. And Gallup surveyed those customers and then gathered a bunch of insights on these remote capable workers. Let's take a look at the data. We got three worker types here in this data set. We got on-site, we got hybrid, and we have remote workers. And then in each of those groups, we have data sets across 4 years. Pre-pandemic 2019, a year into the pandemic 2021, our current year 2023, and then what are workers' preferences for next year coming up. Let's look at percentages. A few things jump out right away. On-site workers, for jobs that don't require them to be on-site, where they can do that work somewhere else, we are seeing a steep decline in worker status staying on-site. That's being replaced by hybrid work, where in the last year especially we've seen major growth for work that can be done remotely, those workers being hybrid workers, spending some time on site and then some time remotely. And then remote work, we saw a massive jump due to the pandemic when people couldn't go into the office. We've seen that pull back as people have returned back to work or those roles have switched into hybrid work. Here are some of the takeaways that really stood out to me when I dove into this study. First is that the trends are obvious. On-site work for work that doesn't have to be done on-site is on a decline. Remote work has been growing in the last few years, although it's starting to pull back a bit. And then hybrid work is on a very rapid growth rate, especially in the last 3 years. Now, there's reasons for this. And so it's even if you're not interested in changing worker status here, it's good to be aware of what the trends are, because that's what the workforce that you're trying to hire, that talent you're trying to bring into your company, that's what they're expecting. That's what they've kind of grown accustomed to here. Hybrid work in particular has major advantages. There is a 10% engagement increase that happens for workers who are hybrid. So that's 10% more engaged than if they were completely remote, or 10% more engaged if they were completely on site. So there's a sweet spot of having a worker come in for 2 or 3 days. Now, 10% double-digit increase on engagement is huge, and it really stood out to me in general that the survey showed that we can expect pretty low engagement from the workforce. It was notable in that the study called out that you can get more engagement if you have a manager who regularly gives feedback on a worker's performance. That actually is higher than just changing their work status. So while we would love to see 10% increase on engagement, hybrid work shows that that's a really good tactic for increased engagement. An even better tactic is giving that regular feedback from a manager. There are lots of advantages to hybrid work. There are some challenges. For hybrid workers themselves, they report those challenges being a decreased feeling of collaboration within the team. So 1 in 4 workers have reported that since switching to hybrid work, they don't feel as collaborative, or they're not having those moments where they're collaborating with the team as often. So there are some things we need to keep top of mind at our companies. One, we got to make sure our onboarding material is reflecting this seismic shift that we've seen. Likely at your company, you've seen a change in on-site, hybrid, or remote workers, and so the way we welcome new team members into the company needs to reflect the new expectations and how we work in this new environment. And also that we're going to have to get creative to foster a collaborative work environment, whether that's new ways of doing meetings, new ways of gathering the workers, just new ways of having fun. We're going to have to think outside the box and really make sure that our hybrid workers are collaborating. I hope you found these smart stats insightful. You can check out more and subscribe to my newsletter at amplifysustain.com.